Okay, everybody, and we're back. BRI, man, and tonight's guest is none other than a art gallery owner, a professional brother. I'm not sure, but I think he's a Howard grad. Shake your head if I'm right. No, no, no. He's saying no, no, no. I might messed up there. But look, man, let me introduce you to tonight's guest, man. He's a owner of Art of Noise Art Gallery in Petworth, DC. I'd like to introduce the whole BRI fam to Mr. A.D. Ferguson.
Having me. Thank you. Thank you.
What's up, brother?
I'm well, man. I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing good, man.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Oh, come on, bro. Come on,
You
bro. You
know,
good things
this
up
is
there.
this is long overdue. You might get another flyer out of this, man.
Well, you know what? I'm always open for business for you, AD.
I got a flyer for you.
Okay, that's
All
fine.
right.
All right, so it's customary here on the BRI before we even start the interview. What I normally do is I got a couple of questions I gotta ask you.
Okay. Okay.
All right. First of all, are you being safe?
I am being as safe as I know how to. Even though I'm fully vaccinated, I still continue to wear my mask in public places, and I urge everyone, whether no matter what your vaccination status, is to be mindful of others and pull that mask up.
That's what's up. Now, next question: are you happy?
I am happy. I'm happy, and I found happy in the things that are right in front of my face. I'm a big dreamer and a doer, so sometimes my happiness comes in the what I think I should be doing and where I want to be. But really, I got a roof over my head. I have a beautiful family that God has blessed me with, which is my greatest accomplishment, and I can't say that makes me happy,
Okay. Well,
and I can't complain about that.
that's what's up. Well, since you're not in the studio, you're not in your studio. I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna go to your studio right quick.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't get the whole thing in, AD, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to your studio, man. But man, look, so tell people a little bit about yourself, man, and what you do.
Man, well, my name is AD. I go by AD. Like I say, I'm a born and raised in Washingtonian. And I'm the owner of Art of Noise. And what Art of Noise is Art of Noise is a multi-purpose art and event space. People come to us to achieve a variety of artistic disciplines. People come to us when they want to do photo shoots, video shoots, recordings, performances, workshops, and even various private events as well. And I create and curate affordable, intimate spaces for artists to do just that.
That's what's up. Now, how long have you had the studio?
Man, actually since 2017.
2017.
Yes.
Nate, what was your inspiration for starting the studio?
Well, growing in a very artist-filled family, singers and painters and other types of creatives, I developed a deep appreciation for the arts from a young age. And then, one of the things in DC as I was growing up and as I got older, I realized that there was really no more affordable, intimate spaces anymore, and there was particularly no type of affordable, intimate spaces for us and by us
Right.
specifically. And,
And
and I want, yeah. So I wanted to bring that feeling back, you know, and to create that space, that eccentric space that's not an official club and not a not your traditional gallery in a sense, but an artistic and a creative space.
that's what's up. Are you a painter or artist?
I'm a writer, so that's my
Are
art.
you an artist? You're an artist, right? You're an artist. So you paint with your words,
I do,
right?
I do.
So with the art gallery, like what are some of the things that if someone came to Art of Noise, like what would they experience? Like what are some of the things that they
Man,
would?
so I mean, like you say, we exhibit artists from a variety of disciplines. So, like I say, one month, I think when Yeah, I think when you came, that was one of our first art shows that you had in the background right there.
Right.
That brings me back, you know. But I mean, somebody would see 1 month, we have sculptors, and you see work from a sculptor. Another
Mhm.
month we've had abstract artists, so you see that work. We've had graphic design, so every month we keep it. Then we've had photography shows, exhibitions. So every month I like to keep it fresh with a different medium, and a different variety outside of the traditional art form. Because one, I believe our art and our art strength is far beyond black art, and black art is so broad that you can't possibly limit to just one particular medium.
Right. Right. And one thing I like about you, you did a couple of shows, and you had an artist that was painting, but you had a DJ.
Yeah. So
Right.
that was a monthly event that we were doing pre-COVID, right? And it was called Deep Noise.
Deep
And
Noise.
yeah, and the DJ would play deep house music, old school R&B. It was a vibe, dog.
Right.
Jazz, and my artist, man, his name is Khalid. Shout out to Khalid Thompson.
Okay.
Would paint in the moment to the music. So whatever you felt coming out from the DJ, they was feeding off each other. He would put it down on the canvas, and
That's nice.
he would create these beautiful pieces by the end of the night in
That's nice.
real time.
In real time. And did most of the pieces that he created get sold?
So some did,
Okay.
and then there's a couple pieces that are on consignment in different shops around the city. So,
Nice. Nice.
yeah,
Well, you know what I noticed about us when it comes to art, right? Like we have the general like, and just as a general statement, but
right,
we don't really appreciate the subtleties of art, right? Like you know we can look at a Basquiat and like ugh, right? You know what I mean?
hmm,
Like what's so good about a Basquiat, right? But we don't understand like art is almost like a vintage car, right? You don't like a vintage car simply because of the way it looked, but you like it because I do anyway, because I know the adversity that the creator had to go through to actually make that with the limited amount of resources that they had at that particular time, and they still came out to make this masterpiece, right? Like with just a limited amount of resources. And I think artists are the same way, right? Like they can have all the colors that they want on their
right,
palette, but most artists make their own colors,
correct.
right? They make they because they see something in their head and they want to bring something else out. So with you, are you seeing a lot of more younger people getting into art now?
Actually, yes. I'm seeing a lot of younger people, and I'm starting to see a lot of older people, middle-aged people. So, I mean, traditionally, when you think about the average art collector, you're thinking about an older person, established,
Older white person, say it.
an older individual, a
Okay.
seasoned, a, se- a seasoned vet
Right.
who has the means. And and that's why I created Art of Noise, was to get people interested in talking about art and investing in art. You understand? Because art is an asset, and art appreciates over time. And here's the thing: is that we don't understand that until we're exposed to it. And the thing is that you have all this beauty of art is quality caliber art in the
Right.
DMV that's not getting the shine. Because nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about it at your table in your circle. So it's elevating and educating people at the same time, all while entertaining.
I try to tell artists though, for the most part, I try to tell artists like there are some pieces that you just got to give away, right? Like you got to give them away and have people put it on their walls and see it, right? Because if you paint it and you leave it in your studio, only a limited amount of people are gonna come to your studio.
Well, my goal is always to help and support a starving artist to not be starving anymore. So I'm gonna work as hard to sell their work. you
Right.
know, and to
Right.
make sure that it ends up in an appreciated and a value home, you know.
Right. You know, I had a friend in Connecticut, Alan Bell. He was an artist, right? And he had an art show. That was like the first art show that I ever went to, right? I didn't know what was going on. You know what I mean? Like I went there, jeans, t-shirt, and I go up in there, man, and everybody, they got the suit on and got the wine in their hand, and they going around looking at the art, and this person asked me, "What you think about this piece?" I don't know. Like, man, I don't know what to say. I don't know. It's nice. You know what I mean? So, and that's because I had never been exposed
Right.
to it. I had never been exposed to it.
So the beauty of art, and I'll take one of the artists, previous residents that we had, Rodney Buckheron. Shout out to Rodney, aka Buck. And I define his work as books on a canvas. Okay,
Okay.
so he's a graphic designer by trade. He reads, very highly intellectual brother, and he writes as he everything that he reads, whatever jumps out at him, he uses that on his canvas
Nice.
to create a conversation. So the
Nice.
words are drawing you in, you know and it's and the point is to make you think, is to make you feel uncomfortable, is to make you, to force to have these conversations, to force these affirmations, to face these fears, to face these realities. So I mean, it's not so much not knowing, but sometimes it's looking at something and to be able to get a feeling, even if it's not as pronounced as having words and graphics on there, be able to have an image to say, okay, what do I feel looking at this image? What's the first thing that comes to mind? And that's how a conversation can start.
Nice. Nice. Well, you know what? When I do look at art, I may can't describe the art, but I do get a feeling from it.
And the technicalities can come later, as you
Right.
learn and you develop. But it's about that conversation. Okay, it's about that dialogue. It's about talking about what you're seeing with another individual, because the guarantee is that that individual that you're talking to, who's looking at the same piece, is getting a completely different, or maybe getting a completely different message and understanding from the same image that you're looking at.
Right.
And now the conversation starts, and now the dialogue starts.
It's what you're saying is almost like they had this thing on Facebook and they were like, let's settle the debate. Is this pink or is this green?
That's hilarious.
Right? And I'm looking at that's pink. Some people actually like it's green. I'm like, how the hell you see green?
Right.
Right? Like, how do you see green? But like you said, they looking at the same thing I'm looking at and getting something totally different.
Well, it's and because they're coming from a different place, a different perspective,
Mhm.
a different life, a different lifestyle. What's green to you may be blue to somebody else. You
Right.
know, I mean, sometimes people's greens makes other people's blues.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I mean, it's a art is subjective, but it's meant to create a conversation. Sometimes comfortable and even uncomfortable conversations.
Okay. So, a deep question. What is the importance of art?
Art is the pulse of a people. So anytime you want to understand what a people were like in a civilization, when people were looting Africa and what did they steal? They stole the art. Okay, because the art was the cornerstone and the value of that civilization. It told them everything they wanted to know about these people.
Right.
Who they were, what kind of people, how they viewed things, what were their religious beliefs, what was their daily life with. You can always go back to the art. So the power of the art is the voice and the pulse of a people.
Nice. Nice. And ever since our sojourn here in America, our art has really been suppressed, right? Like our creativity in the art field.
Well,
Oh,
I think to look at it from a different perspective, I don't know if I would say, yeah, I mean, yes, it's been suppressed, but what happens when diamonds are suppressed, and that's how they become diamonds, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like when pressure is added, what happens, And I mean, out of this pressure and this suppression, the most beautiful work in art forms that the world has ever seen has come
Right,
from the hands and the eyes and the mouths and the hearts and the minds of Black people.
right, right. That's a good point. Like, and it's crazy because when you really think about it, we took chitterlings and made a delicatessen,
Correct.
right? Like it chitterlings are not for consumption, right?
No,
Like they are not for consumption. But if
no.
that's all you got, right? If that's what they giving you, you got to make do with what you have, right? Like and with that type of pressure, so to speak, we created something that was edible for us.
Correct.
And I guess you're saying that's the same thing with art, right? Like,
It is. So I mean, I'm sorry, brother. These Zooms, man. It's all good. I got a baby boy, 7. He ain't baby, but he.
right,
It
right.
is
I got
what it is, man. But I would say it is like that for art. I mean, look at music and Black music, and and
Mhm.
Negro spirituals, and how music was a form of communication. You know, in the fields, and how they talk to each other. The send secret messages.
Mhm.
So, I mean, we created an art form out of our adversity.
Mm. Actually, an entire culture out
Out
of
of
our
our adversity. Correct.
an
Correct.
entire like and you know and I try to tell especially Black Americans, right? I try to tell Black Americans. I say, look, when it comes to melanated people all over the world, we are the vanguards. All melanated people all over the world look up to Black Americans.
Right.
Like, and some there are some people melanated, in Africa or Guyana or and they love their country,
Right.
right? They love their country and their nation, but they would die to be in the position that you and I are in right now, right? And they look for us for what's the hottest fashion, what's the hottest song, um, and intellectually, like I tell people this: if there was a revolution, like a real civil war in America, it would be a civil war all over the world, right? Because black people all over the world look to us. I ain't gonna say for guidance, but as sort of like a barometer, right? Like a barometer of what to do or what not to do. So when I see people like you doing this art gallery, and I know for you those first couple of months was or years maybe was hard to get people to understand what you're doing, right? Like, but that's the beauty of it because you keep tweaking. I gotta find my niche, and I've watched you every time you do something. I watch you, and you've been tweaking, brother. You have.
I appreciate that, man.
You can't like, man. I remember I did that flyer, and it was simple flyer. You liked it, it was simple. But then I look around and you just doing all this other stuff, and I'm like, look at AD. I'm like, okay, I gotta definitely come to the because you moved, right?
Right. Correct.
Like you
Right.
moved. Like this brother is because when you think about it, a lot of people start stuff, but they don't have the fortitude to continue because the adversity is just too much for a lot of people.
You know, and that's a real thing. And I've seen, unfortunately, a lot of businesses not make it during this time, and a lot of Black and brown and minority businesses um, fall to the wayside, which is truly unfortunate. Because nobody asked for this pandemic. You know,
Right.
um, but it's the willingness and the humbleness to want to evolve, to
Right.
know that you have to. It's like there's no option. There's no other option. There's no the failure is just not going to happen. It just can't happen. I mean, it's just with these mouths, there's mouth to feed, these mouths to feed up in here. Things got to move. You know,
They-
and I got to be the one to move it. And if I can't move it, I got to find people and to put the right pieces in place so that it can move. And it takes humbling experiences and motivation to say, I pray and I thank God for art and noise, and I ask the universe and God to help me bring art of noise to the people. Help me be the vessel to
Mm,
use to create this artistic renaissance, this Black renaissance, this sense of community to inspire people. That's what I rest with that, you know, and that's my and that's why what gets me up. And I was like, you know what? I'm not closing these doors. You
right.
know, we're gonna figure this out.
Well, you seem like you like me though. Like, ain't no quitting me. No quit, because anything can be accomplished, right?
Correct,
Like anything can be accomplished. It may not happen in the time frame that you wanted to,
but it happens.
but it
But
happens.
and it doesn't happen the way you think it's gonna happen.
Right.
But it does happen.
It
You
does
know,
happen.
and when it happens, you better be ready and in a place to be able to receive it. You know,
Oh, that's right.
because it happens. And I mean, it's just you got to evolve. And I had to roll with it.
My wife has a saying: either evolve or be a dinosaur.
That's right. That's
Either
that's real.
or be a
That's
dinosaur.
real.
You either evolve or you be a dinosaur.
That's
And
real.
the thing is, the thing about us as a community, evolving is the only option, right? Like there's the like you have some people where I don't have to evolve. I can sit right here and I'll be okay.
Right.
I'll be all right. Everything will be okay, and I just live out my life, die and whatever. But that's not an option for us. Like we have to evolve because the state that we find ourselves in, even though it's better than 100 years ago, but we're still far behind.
Right.
Like, and I'm not even just talking about monetarily. I'm talking about mentally.
Mm-hmm.
Even spiritually. We're far behind, and that's that's to be that's to be expected when you you still was your people still was a slave longer than you've been free. And I think a lot of black people don't understand that. We only been free 140 something years. We was a slave for 240 something years. So that time we're making progress as baby steps, but we got to continue to evolve, like continue to be better. And
Yeah.
and that's what your space do is it introduce black people to something that they're not familiar with.
And it's an uphill battle, but a glorious one. You know, and it's a mission. It's a marathon. And we're
Mm-hmm.
here. Um, but I gotta say that in this pandemic, black people are surviving and excelling. You know,
What?
and black people are creating.
What?
Black folks are creating jobs. They're creating lanes, and because we're survivors, and
We're
we
so,
survive,
we're
and we
so,
will survive under any type of pressure. We can survive. We'll find a way. And
mm-hmm.
it's just amazing to see the perseverance of our people during this time. You know, I know countless people who started businesses, initiatives. People who they looking at me going, man, I want to start a business. I want to do this. I want to, I might do it, you know, because you need to try.
You got to.
You need to try. So,
Because saying I should have did that is not good. That's not a good thing, right? Because, and then another thing, what you said is black people creating businesses and we're surviving, right? It's just like, it's almost like this pandemic pushed the cat in the corner,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it pushed the cat in the corner because had, when you think about unemployment or people,
Mm-hmm.
right, people not working because of the pandemic,
Right.
who do you think was more affected by this pandemic financially? Black people.
Absolutely.
Because most black people are living paycheck to
The
pay,
paycheck. Yep.
right? So it's like, okay, I can't do this. I I love pottery. Let me start a pottery business, right? Or I love sewing. Let me start. And I've seen so many businesses that remind me of the old school black people. You know, you had someone that did your sewing in the community,
Mm.
somebody that worked on your cars, somebody that did electricity, all in the community,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like handyman. Now I'm seeing that over again, but now they got professional business cards now. They got a website. You know what I mean? They're investing in themselves, and I love it. I love it. It's a beautiful thing because once we realize that, like, look, money is not the problem.
No.
A lot of money out here. A lot of money. Money is not the problem. The ideas are not the problem. The dedication and determination is the problem, right? Like if you want to do something, you got to be dedicated and determined. And you started your gallery in 2017, and for most people, when you had to move, for most people, that would have been it, right? That would have been it. I tried. You know what I mean? I tried. It didn't work. But no, not AD.
I'm not doing it, man. I'm not doing it because it I saw what was happening within the community, and I saw the reaction of the people who were coming, and experiencing art of noise, and renting our space for different things, and having different events here and attending different things. And I saw the need for it, and I saw people saying, thank you. Thank you. We need this in the community. We need this in the space. Like, I'm like, nah, I'm here.
Right.
I don't want no more pandemics. But
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, man, we done got through one, you know?
Well, I was talking to my wife today, man, and I'm like, you said something earlier on Facebook. You was like, I think the mask requirement ended too early. I saw that, right? All right, and you know what? I tell my wife all the time. They talking about waves. You know, when they talk where the first wave, the second wave. Well, if everybody wasn't vaccinated in the first wave,
Right.
we're still in the first wave, right? Like if everybody is not vaccinated, we're still in the first wave.
There's no second wave yet. Yeah.
There's no second wave.
No.
We're still in the first. And I was telling my wife, I was telling her today, I was like, whenever a virus enters a body, it takes over the DNA and replicates.
Right.
And when it leaves the body, it's not the same virus. Right? Like that's how it mutates because it picks up some more DNA.
Right.
And then when it goes to somebody else, it's not the same virus that they got, but they given a new strand.
I knew something, yeah.
Right. So, but and that was the reasoning why I think they was pushing vaccination so hard because they didn't want it to keep mutating.
Well,
right?
I think the push of the vaccination and the misconception is that the vaccination was a cure, and it's not a cure. It's a vaccination, okay? And it's a way to better, it's to help the body cope with the virus. It's an elevated flu shot. You understand? Yep. And 2 years from now, 4 years from now, you're gonna walk into CVS and you're gonna see the cold and flu section, and then you're gonna see the coronavirus section.
That's right.
Right? And it's thing is gonna be with us for a long time, and our bodies are just going to have to evolve, and they're going to evolve with it, and our bodies are going to.
And the crazy thing about our bodies evolving, I try to tell people this, like, what is the cure for malaria?
I mean,
Sickle cell anemia.
yeah,
That's how black you don't see too many Caucasians with sickle cell anemia,
no,
right?
you don't.
What happened was when the white settlers first went to Africa, they brought
Mhm.
malaria with them. They brought malaria,
Right,
and the African body, after so many people died from this disease, the African body developed sickle cell anemia
right.
to fight off malaria.
Mm.
And I say that to say to the point that you said, like yo, our body's gonna adapt to it. It's gonna adapt to it. But just like anything, any type of adaptation, some people gotta die.
With that, but there's some things that you can do,
Mm-hmm.
in the meantime, to protect yourself and others. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's where the sense of community comes in, and
Right.
that's where it's like it's not about me; it's bigger than me. You
Right.
know, um, and it goes back to being responsible. Being masked up when you need to be. You know, whether what's your vaccination status, how you got vaccinated, you got the first dose, second dose, whatever, no dose. It's just taking that responsibility for each other.
Now, when they come to the gallery, do you have a mask requirement?
I do. I
Okay.
do. I prefer, sometimes we have like a little beverages and water and stuff like that, for people to come in and see the art. Um, and, I require, you can, we all got to, pull your little mask down, drink, take a sip. But when
Right.
it's a lot of people in the spot, I require people to keep a mask just for safety,
Right. Me personally, I don't see any problem with the mask. Like for the most part, if you go anywhere, like in your event, you may have a mask on at longest, maybe an hour,
Right.
maybe. And then everyone talking about complaining about the mask and the health restrictions, where in the Middle East and in China, they've been wearing masks since SARS.
Yes.
Right. And then in the Middle East, these women wear hijab all their life and then never had any health complications. The health complication comes because we are a fat nation. We are out of shape nation. That's what we are.
Correct.
And so I don't have any problem with the man. So when me and my wife come up there, man, I want the VIP treatment at the Art of Noise, man. I want to.
Man, you got VIP all day, man.
Yeah. So what kind of events you got coming up, AD?
Well, we actually, man, this Saturday, man, we got our first sessions at Art of Noise, man.
Okay.
Basically, when the pandemic happened, man, it crushed a lot of the after-hour spots for musicians. When musicians used to come after playing a gig or touring, they used to go to places like 18th Street Lounge,
Mm-hmm.
go and just kind of jam out, have jam sessions. Uh,
Okay.
and these places closed down during the pandemic and kind of leaving a big void in DC, and especially in the jazz and the jazz adjacent scene. So sessions of Art and Noise is designed to kind of create that jam session vibe and bring that jam session vibe back to DC.
Okay. Well, we got to give your movement a name, a real catchy name, AD. We got to give it a name, like they gave the Harlem Renaissance. That was a catchy name, Harlem Renaissance, like all that. So we got to give it a name, man. We got to come up with a movement name.
Man, I don't know. Let's think about it. Let's think about it.
Be-
You know,
be-
it,
because
it,
if
it,
someone
it,
say the name, it'll make them feel a little bit better about, not better, but make them feel like when I hear Harlem Renaissance, it ain't just, yeah, in Harlem they was playing all this music and doing all this art back in the day. No, Harlem, a Renaissance is like a change,
everything,
right?
everything.
Like it's everything.
And see, I grapple with the word Renaissance because I'm like, yeah, it is. It's like a DMV Renaissance. You
It
know what
really,
I'm saying? And And the Harlem Renaissance actually started in D.C. You know, a lot of the Renaissance, you know, got its roots in D.C. because you know Langston Hughes was in D.C. before he got to New York.
Okay.
So, I mean, you know, Broadway down here, you know, Black Broadway, you
Black
know,
way.
you know, I mean, so I mean, DC has a rich, steeped history.
Right.
So I mean, a Renaissance would be appropriate.
Yeah, I call DC New Orleans on the East Coast.
That's about right, man. I,
It's,
I'm thinking about the humidity. Yeah, you about close, man. That's funny, man. Yeah,
if you really think about it, New Orleans is considered jazz heaven, right? But we never hear any jazz coming out of there no more, right? Like we don't hear jazz coming out of there no more.
no,
But they're playing jazz in New Orleans every single night,
correct.
right? DC, there's some musicians playing every single night in DC,
Right.
right? And nowhere else on the East Coast is it like that. Not in New York. They not playing jazz. You may hear hip hop or soul music, but jazz has a particular night in New York. Most of the time it's Thursday.
Right.
You don't get it on, you don't get it in Baltimore. You're not getting it in Connecticut. DC is the only place where you're gonna find go-go and jazz being played every single night.
True.
Right. And that's why I call it the New Orleans on the East Coast. Because they got everything New Orleans got. They got their own, wait a minute, they got their own food preferences, right? You got musicians. Now we have art. We got the art gallery, like and just culture with spoken word and poetry and all that. It's like a bohemian type of thing. You know what I mean?
It is. It is. It is. Bohemian half smokes. We there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Let's say something real just DC, you know?
Right,
Real
right.
DC.
Call it the mumbo sauce renaissance.
Sauce.
The mumbo sauce renaissance.
The mambo.
Renaissance or the mambo renaissance, man.
Mambo.
200 years from now, they be like, hey, you got A.D. Fisher. He started the Mumbo Renaissance and out of his studio and Art of Noise. And I'm telling you.
That's it, the Mambo movement. Yeah.
The Mambo movement, man.
It is, man.
Because you out of DC. You got to give me something, man.
See, man.
So it'll stick.
But, you know, in my job, you know, is to connect with you leaders, you know, leaders like yourself, leaders in the field of who are pushing the visual culture, who are pushing the vocals, you know, the hip hop, who are pushing the music, you know, producing in the area. Like, let's get together, you know, and let's change the narrative, you know. Let's show them what we can do, and take our culture back, you know.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is that the Harlem Renaissance to me was great because all those musicians came up there and sort of messed in Harlem, but the music that they played wasn't for notoriety.
No, it was because they wanted to play it.
They wanted to play it,
and it was a counterculture, and it was a resistance to the traditional. You know, it was in protest to the protest, you know. Right. Absolutely, and jazz came out of counterculture. You know, there was a whole culture that came out of, you know, with bop and, you know, and these type of, you know, to say, hey, I'm gonna do it this way. You know, I'm gonna reject the traditional way. You know, I'm gonna talk different, act different. You know, and this is why Miles Davis, he, you know, the inventor of cool. You know, John Coltrane. You know, you got, you know, all of them. I mean, you know, McCoy Tyner. You know, these people who Pharoah Sanders. You know, who still I believe it's with. Yeah,
Yeah.
and these people who redefine what it meant to be black and gifted. You know, and spoke and made black intellectual music. You know,
And that's the point I was trying to make. It was like when you get around a group of people, right? Okay, I played basketball. See, now I got to go to my earphones. The things went out. They got.
you know,
Now I'm looking like a DJ.
old faithful.
But I was saying like when in the Harlem Renaissance when they got up there and they all these artists are getting there and they come together and they having jam sessions, right? These jam sessions not only serve to show how talented these people were, right? But now if I'm Miles Davis and I'm listening to Train and he doing a particular thing, right? I gotta top that. Right? Like I gotta top that. I gotta be just as good as Train when I get up there. And that's what the Harlem Renaissance did because you got all these people, and even though it didn't look like that, but as an artist, you're competing. Right? And if the artists are spread out, you're not competing with nobody. You just making music on your own accord.
Well, I mean, in that regard, iron sharpens iron.
Exactly.
So, I mean, you're gonna if you want to be the best,
you gotta be around the best.
You gotta be around the best.
That's right.
People who are doing it at the highest level.
Highest level.
And learn from those people. Not just compete with them, but learn from them. Because that's the problem is that we think that when sometimes we competing and we ain't learning nothing.
Right.
The thing is that
if you learn nothing.
I mean, you done did all that and you can't even walk away with a lesson. And you just wasted time, right? You just mad, brother.
Man, look, and it's crazy, right? Because iron sharpens irons, right? So when you think about Usain Bolt, dominated track and field until he retired, right?
Right.
Now who's dominating? The person who trained with him.
Yes.
Blake. Now Blake is the favorite, right? Because he trained with him. You had Michael Jordan. Who was the second best player in the league when Michael Jordan was there? The person that played right beside him, Scottie Pippen.
Correct.
Right? And I think Clay and Steph, the same thing. Yeah, they both shooters, but they make each other better shooters because they're around each other. You know what I mean? So when you get your space and you got all these artists coming in and looking at other artists like, yo, that's nice.
Exactly. I didn't even think about that. Well, I didn't even know I could incorporate that.
Right. I mean, maybe put my own little swing on it. I can do something with that too, because that's nice. And that's the beauty of community, though.
Yes.
That's the beauty of community, because even though I may be doing something,
right?
I don't know who's watching me. Right? I don't know who's watching me and seeing what I'm doing, and I may think what I'm doing is nothing. It ain't nothing, but the person that's looking at me may say, "You know what? I never thought about it that way. I never thought about stroking the brush in a particular way to get a particular effect on the canvas. I never thought about that, but right. I see him doing it, and it looks nice. I might be able to incorporate this in something that I'm doing, and that's the beauty, man. And I think like we got so far away from community that it's just me.
Right.
And when it's like that, progress is slow. Right? It's slow. Because if you're thinking about it being me, then you ain't even really trying to help nobody else.
No.
Right? And those little things that you do that's special, you keep them secrets. Right? Like you
yeah. Like, because you're trying to move, you can only do so much by yourself, you
Right.
know. And then it's like when you learn that you're a part of a bigger picture and a
Mm,
bigger and it's about the movement and moving the culture forward, you know. And you know that when you do that, the residual is going to come some way somehow, you
right.
know. And I think that's the key is to keep in mind is like the bigger picture is I can do it, but I can only do so much for myself. And I feel
Mm,
like good art comes when you're in a giving spirit, you know, because yeah, and the best art is when you're in a sharing mood, because you got
mm,
something to say. You got
right.
something, you got something on your mind or your chest that you
Right.
trying to get out.
You trying to get out. Right.
Yeah,
And you know it's crazy that you said that because it's like I believe like anything that's done out of love,
right,
whether it be love for what you're doing or
right,
love to let someone else experience what you're doing, it goes a whole lot farther. You know what I mean? Tell your son to go in there. He messing with you. But yeah, but when you do something out of love, it goes a whole lot
right.
further than would it be if you're doing it out of selfish reasons, right?
Yeah, I mean, and doing it because you love it, not because
It's gonna make you some money.
it make you money. Because it's got to be the mission over money at first.
Right.
You know, I mean, so many people you hear about people that's been artists for 20, 30, sometimes 40 years before they get discovered, before they get that break, before they get in front of that right collector.
Mhm.
I mean, it's years. Same thing with music artists. People spend years and years singing background or you know pushing tapes out the trunk of their car or or whatever, showing up to open mic night. I mean, comedians spend sometimes 15, 20 years doing open mic night. Touring and sleeping in their cars and before they actually get that break.
Right.
So it's just that it's like going back to what you said earlier. It's about persistence
Hmm.
and knowing that it's a marathon,
It's a marathon.
and you're gonna hear no. You're gonna get tired. People not gonna understand what you're doing. They're gonna encourage you to quit. You know, and normal people are just gonna be like, you know what, I
They,
tried.
right.
You
Right.
know,
For me, I try to tell people, I was like, look, man, when you think about doing something, right now, I know I talked about the me attitude, but
Mhm.
me, I'm a graphic designer.
Right?
I I would never send you anything that I didn't like. If you commission me to do a design for you, I am never gonna send you something that I don't like.
That's real.
Right? Right? I'm never gonna do that. And that's because I have uh, um, um, what you say, um, scruples with my design. Like I wouldn't want if I don't want it, I don't want to give it to nobody. Right? And I wouldn't want nobody to give me something that I pay for that they didn't like either. So you gotta have faith in yourself beyond anything.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have faith in that's him, if you don't if you don't have faith in yourself, then the first sign of adversity, you're gonna give up.
Right. But and that's but also it's fear. You know, fear that I don't know what I'm doing. I can't see where I'm going. I can't. Just
Right,
because you can't see the path forward, don't mean it's not there.
right.
Sometimes you just gotta take a leap.
Mhm.
You
No,
know.
all the time you gotta take a leap.
Yeah.
All
You
the time.
know.
Because my thing is, and this is the thing, whenever you see a vision that you want for yourself, you never see the adversity. Like you only see the good part of it, right? You never see the adversity.
And then it's like, yo, you trying to skip the struggle again. You know
Right,
what I'm saying? You go trying to bypass triple jump over the process.
right,
And you know you can't do that. You know.
right. And that's why my athletes, especially elite athletes, right? Because they weren't born that way.
No,
Like they worked at it and worked at it and worked at it and believed that they could be the best at this.
correct. And they enjoyed it while doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
if it feels like a job, you shouldn't do it.
Right. That's why I'm
Okay.
lifting weights. I can't stand weights, AD. I can't stand them.
I feel you,
I can't stand them.
man. Listen, I don't lift them because I like them.
You do?
I mean, every now and then I do. I do more body weight stuff.
Okay.
You know, just because I don't have a personal need to be bulging out of a shirt no more. You know,
Right.
I just want to
Me and
I just want to stay in shape and not have to buy clothes because I can't fit them no more.
right.
You know,
Well, at least you said not have to buy clothes because you can't fit them. Because most people say, I gotta buy some new clothes. These jeans got little.
that's it. That's it. That's it. Cleaners can't shrink all your jeans. You know? They can't. They ain't always the cleanest, man. Okay, yeah, okay. You wash these when on cold. So what's up? You know.
I swear to God, I laugh at people say these jeans done got too small. No, the jeans they got too small.
No, and that fork done got too heavy. Yeah.
Man, I enjoy this interview, brother. I really do. And we gotta connect because
Please.
I want to start doing on location
Okay.
interviews.
Okay.
I want to start doing on location interviews and like when you have an event, I want to come there, set up, interview,
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
so we got to connect, man, and on some, on some mambo movement
The
type stuff.
mambo movement. Yes. Yes.
I'm
Yes.
telling you, I'm a brand that, bro. I'm telling you,
Hey, throw me a couple chips, man. That's all I ask. Just,
no. I said I'm a brand it, but we gonna make it happen, right? I'm a brand it, but we gonna make it happen
that's
because
it.
it ain't even about the chips. If people in DC really understood what they actually have,
And we got to do a better job. And I think you're doing a great job. But it takes more. It just takes so many more avenues. We have to amplify what's happening.